It is.
We are talking the best origin story this week. Origin story. And I repeat myself because I got issues with y'all's picks. I got issues. I got real
You go
fucking
first.
issues. So mine is actually an origin story. It's not that you picked bad movies. It's that you picked movies that weren't origin stories. You just picked the like first in the franchise.
If you think mine isn't an origin story, you need to go rewatch the film.
Honestly, same, but we'll get into it.
All right, so I picked Maleficent as my top origin story movie. I have to give credit where credit is due, and I normally don't give credit to this particular person because I don't like their product. Lana Del Rey recorded what is one of the best covers of any song I've ever heard with Once Upon a Dream from this movie. I will never forget sitting in a theater, and I'm sitting there getting ready to have my like popcorn and my candy, right? Because I got to do both because you need sugar and salt, right? Otherwise, what are you doing?
Of course.
Valid.
With a root beer. I get a popcorn and a root beer at the movie theater. That's how the show was named. And all of a sudden the preview starts and it's dark, and this dark movie comes on, and then all of a sudden I hear Lana Del Rey's voice creep in, and I was like, what are they doing? And then Angelina Jolie, who is perfectly cast in this role, right? And it was kind of at a time where Angelina Jolie had disappeared for a while. She hadn't really been Angelina Jolie for a minute. Stepped into this role, served face, served cunt, showed up, mother, right? Like absolutely queened it, killed it, ate, left no crumbs. Best origin story movie I have ever seen, because top to bottom, I was like, what the fuck is this? I am hype for this kind of movie.
It is solid. It's been a while since I watched it. I should go see it again.
Never seen it.
I will also
runs away and ducks the flying chair. I'm fully expecting to come.
It's been a while. No, it's a solid pick though. I also just need to say, because and Steve, I feel like you in particular, this is like a little bit of a shame trash pick, what have you. If you have not seen The Descendants, like the Disney Channel original movie Descendants, Kristen Chenoweth plays Maleficent in that, and she has one of my favorite evil villain songs of all time in a Disney movie. Like, it is top tier.
Kristen Chenoweth could sing the phone book, and I'd be a fan of it. Like, I don't give a shit what she does.
I think she was the inspiration of that award on our on the other movie podcast Steve and I have done, Take Two. We literally did a phone book award, and I'm not convinced it wasn't because of that thought he had about Kristen Chenoweth.
It's a thought I have a lot when I listen to her. I'm like, she's wonderful.
No, she is fabulous.
Yeah. Jake, what's your favorite origin story movie?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to explain how this isn't an origin story movie to me.
I'll tell you.
It's The Hobbit.
Okay.
Which is the prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Okay.
So it's Bilbo Baggins, Frodo Baggins, uncle, telling you the story of his adventure before his 111th birthday. It's where we get, technically it's the origin for Gandalf. It's the origin, you get the backstory, origin story of Sauron.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great film. It continued the movie. Shut up. It continued the movie, continued the Lord of the Rings lore for a lot of people who hadn't read the books or only read the books after the fact and went back to them after seeing the movies. It's one of my favorite lores of all time. It's just that world in general. I have a Lord of the Rings tattoo. It's just a phenomenal movie. If you disagree, I'm going to punch you. Now let's hear why it's not an origin story, Steve.
So yours wasn't really my issue with the origin stories. I think Trash is flat out not an origin story. Like, she just picked the start of a franchise, and I'm going to shade her mercilessly for that.
I think that's fine if you are also making the argument that the follow-up movies were better than the original.
I'm not commenting on that. We'll get into it.
We'll get into hers. Yours, The Hobbit was kind of a mess because it was supposed to be one. It really could have been one movie, right? Like, the book was really short, and they split it into a trilogy for no reason whatsoever. And it was
they made the Hobbit movie into a trilogy. I thought it was just two.
No, it's
I saw like
3.
the first Hobbit and like no else of the Lord of the Rings. It was like pretty enjoyable. I was a little lost, so I'd say it's a solid origin story because there's a
I
lot of
will
stuff
say
that
this. I
happened
will say
later that
this
I didn't know.
in defense of The Hobbit, it did give me probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, voice acting performance ever. With Benedict Cumberbatch's performance
Smaug.
as Smaug,
And the
the dragon.
Necromancer.
I really was like, that moment in the Dragon's Cave is really the only part of the trilogy I enjoyed. I have to preface this by saying, so any Lord of the Rings fan out there, I'm gonna defend myself for a second, because when I was a kid, especially in middle school and high school, I used to get the flu every year. And every year, it was right around April vacation, right in that time frame. And every year I would get the flu. TBS would always air the Lord of the Rings trilogies.
Sounds awesome.
And it was the only thing on TV. But the problem is it became associated in my head with me having the flu. So whenever Lord of the Rings comes on, my brain immediately thinks you're sick. So like, it just became like this weird association that I never truly got to enjoy it. I read the Lord of the Rings book. I thought it was a slog fest. It took forever. I didn't like it. I read The Hobbit. I thought it was a slog fest. I didn't like it. I don't like these kinds of movies. Like, real high fantasy for me is not my cup of tea.
That's
Trash,
fair.
are
I'll
you
give it.
backing me
I'll
up?
give you that aspect of it.
I like high fantasy. It can't be too long and it can't be like the multi-movie franchise. Like I need a tight storyline in like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours
But you
tops. I
had to
just
tell
don't
the
think I
whole
have the
story.
attention span.
The
Yeah.
But
whole
like,
story had to be told.
Did
sure.
it though? Because a lot
Well,
of
and
walking
that's where
happened.
like
The
I
combat
kind
scenes.
of get like breaking stuff up. Okay, the combat scenes are too long. That was a big issue
I thought
that
the
I
walking
had.
scenes were too. I thought there was a lot going on that didn't
A lot
have to
of
happen. I'm
walking,
like,
a
I
lot
don't
of
care
combat.
about this. A lot of walking.
I don't really care
It's
about the epic
important to the
combat
story.
scenes, though.
Why didn't they just fly? Why didn't they
Sure.
just fly
Because
to
they
Mordor?
need the journey.
Why? Why do you need that? I'd be pissed if Gandalf showed up on that fucking bird.
I'm leaving. This has been another episode
I
of
would have
Popcorn and
fought
Root
him.
Beer. I'll see you guys
We'd
next
be
week.
squaring up. I'd be so mad. Scampers does agree with you though. He thought The Hobbit was excellent.
Thank you, Scampers. This is why I love you.
And Scamper says it's a long walk, which I
It's a
agree.
long
Which is why
walk.
they should have flown.
It is really long.
It's Middle
They
Earth.
should have flown.
It's the whole middle
also-
of the Earth. Think about how
I
wide
also
the
don't-
Earth is in the middle.
I also don't like how dramatic Gandalf is. I think he really plays it up hard. That being
wait,
said,
which Gandalf? Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White?
Gandalf the Grey fakes his death. Anyway,
Or
Trash,
Monty
we need to move
Python
on
and
to
the Holy
yours.
Grail's Black Knight.
We need to move on to yours so we can
Mine.
get going.
Okay. So mine is Ocean's 11. In my opinion, the best origin story. And here is why it's an origin story. This is when the gang comes together, and that is the origin of the gang. It is their formation.
Yep,
It
she wins.
is, yes, thank you. It is not, yeah, I know you're not wrong, Scampers.
Get them, Scampers.
You're not wrong about that, but I am correct that Ocean's 11
Oh,
is
Jamie.
absolutely an origin movie, an origin story, because it's not like Danny Ocean's origin story. It is the whole team. It's when he gets Brad Pitt. It's when he gets all of them, and like you get to see all of those dynamics being formed that you then get to see played out in both Ocean's 12 and 13, and a little bit in Ocean's 8. Absolutely an origin.
I
you have a
disagree
rebuttal?
because I do. An origin story needs to be a movie that initially, right, there was an established character that then it cannot be the first in a franchise because it goes back and establishes someone within that known universe.
No,
and
then
shows
you
you
should
where
have
they came
said
from.
best prequel. If you said best
origin
prequel-
story, the best origin story movie, it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
you get the story of the
It's the
origin
villain
of
origin
the crew.
story. No,
But
It's the origin of the crew.
So it's
If
called.
you want,
It's named after Danny Ocean, but the movie is about the gang. So you have you get
I
the
think
origin of the
story
gang.
would have been Danny Ocean's first heist. That would have been an origin story.
but it's not about Danny Ocean. It's about the gang. If you want
Right.
my origin story in that, then it's Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Hunger Games prequel, blah, fine. It's a good origin story. But like, I stand by Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11 is an origin story.
Thank you.
2 out of 3
and if the
votes.
people in the comments
I've
agree,
I've been
please
outvoted
tell.
on my show. Please in the comments, let us know. I have been outvoted.